Acts Bureau of Corrections Chief Nicanor Faeldon said he was unaware of a Justice Department order requiring the approval of the Secretary before releasing convicts with life terms. Faeldon said he only learned about Department Order 953 when the Senate hearing on the botched release of ex-Calauan Mayor Antonio Sanchez began.
I'm not familiar, Your Honor. After the first hearing, sir, when it was pointed out here, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I read it, sir. But prior to that, it was just recent when the Secretary informed me about the Department order.
Faeldon nevertheless acknowledged his fault. The order took effect on November 26, 2015, during the stint of Supreme Court Associate Justice Benjamin Caguiwa as Justice Secretary. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara earlier said his approval had never been sought since he assumed his post in April this year. Guevara also acknowledged his shortcoming.
To be very, very candid and truthful about the matter, Mr. Chair.
I expect no less.
Yes. We ourselves are not completely aware about that Department Order 953 because that was issued way back in 2015.
Yes.
But of course, we are charged with knowledge of all the documents and official papers issued by the department. So when this whole thing came up, we dug our files and came across this Department Order 953 that says that prior approval of the Secretary of Justice would be required if the release would be of persons convicted of, not convicted of heinous crimes.
Senate President Tito Soto said he understands if Faeldon had no knowledge about the department order, having been at the Bucor for only less than a year. But he was not as forgiving to the agency's legal head, who has been there for 2 decades, for not advising Faeldon.
Alam nyo, kino-comply ninyo yung 953 before. Bakit pagdating dito kay Sanchez, hindi nyo alam?
When we received the order from the Supreme Court, the decision, sir, immediately executory po yun. Ang nakalagay doon, recompute and release with immediate dispatch if there are no legal basis to hold them. Sir, sinabi po namin yan.
Ha?
Sinabi po namin yung
Kanino?
Yan, na kay Sir, yan 953 na yan.
Sinabi mo kanino?
Kay General na meron pong ganyan.
But Faeldon said no such information reached him. He also said that it was Santos and his colleagues who insisted that he could not block Sanchez's release because there was no legal basis to do it.
I stand corrected, sir. Hindi ko alam kung sa kanya ko direkta sinabi. O
Speak to the microphone and do not mumble.
Hindi ko po matandaan na kung sa staff niya o
Yung
sa kanya.
matandaan, napaka-importante nitong kaso ito, di mo mapandaan. You know, you're dangerously skirting with contempt. Evasive ka.
Meanwhile, Santos seemed stunned when Senator Panfilo Lacson suddenly asked him if he is into illegal drugs.
And I'd like to ask Attorney Santos, have you ever used drugs, Attorney? Have you ever used drugs?
No, sir.
Bureau of Corrections Captain Maria Belinda Bansil denied involvement with the sale of good conduct time allowances. Witness Yolanda Camilon says Bansil, along with Staff Sergeant Ramoncito Roque, charged her 50,000 pesos for the early release of her husband under the GCTA law. She says it was Officer Veronica Buño who followed up on her payment. As proof, Camilon presented at Senate her phone conversation with Buño.
Ay ma'am, ang banggit kasi ni Boss Chito is magtiwala lang kayo sa amin, ma'am ha. It's official business.
However, Buño says it is not her speaking in a voice recording.
We will subject it to voice recognition. Ngayon, yung telepono, huwag na natin tignan, Mr. Chairman. Dahil sa tagal-tagal ng panahon ng telepono niya, ang laman, dalawa lang. No call logs.
Bansil meanwhile refuted ties with Camilon.
Sir, in good faith. Public servant po kami. Client po
Public
namin
servant.
siya. Client po namin siya. Dalaw po siya doon sa minimum security camp. Lumapit po siya sa akin.
Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Richard Gordon asked the NBI to retrieve text messages of Bansil. All 3 Bucor officials identified by Camilon have also agreed to undergo lifestyle checks. Despite threats to his security, Camilon's detained spouse, Godfrey Gamboa, also testified at Senate about the GCTA for sale scheme and how it favors wealthy inmates.
Napapayak po ako dahil sa dami ng mga matatanda doon na hindi po lumalaya, na namamatay na lang.
The upper chamber will continue its probe in GCTA issue on Thursday. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, We Are One News.
And this just in, the Office of the Ombudsman has ordered a 6-month preventive suspension of 27 Bureau of Corrections officials as it opened its promised exhaustive investigation into the early release of heinous crime convicts. Interior Secretary Eduardo Año is citing reports that some GCTA released inmates have already fled the country. Año said he is still verifying the report and plans to coordinate with global police organization Interpol to track the released convicts. Even if the Philippines has no extradition agreement with a certain country, Año said they will ask governments that do to help retrieve the convicts. President Duterte last Wednesday said 1,914 freed inmates have 15 days to submit to rearrest and have their GCTAs recomputed. Those who do not surrender by September 19 will then be tagged as fugitives.